All right, let's go and get started on 10.2, where we're going to go and talk about the law of cosines. So last time we talked about the law of sines. Today we're going to go ahead and focus on the law of cosines. So same exact process, where this is when we do not have right triangles. So I have to go ahead and figure out another way to go ahead and solve for my missing angles and my missing side measurements. Okay. Now, law of cosines has two different sequences. This time around, it is SAS and then SSS. Okay, so it says in any triangle, the square of the length of any side equals to the sum of the squares of the lengths of the other two sides minus twice the product of the lengths of those other two sides times the cosine of their included angle. Okay, so basically what that means is that if I'm trying to find a, right, little a, I'm going to go ahead and take the square of that length. I'm going to equal it to the sum of the other two sides. In this case, it's b squared plus the c squared. And I'm going to go and subtract twice the product of those two other lengths times the cosine of the included angle, in this case, is a. Okay, so same exact thing. If I was focusing on b, I'm going to take b squared is equal to a squared plus c squared, so the sum of the squares of the lengths of the other two sides. Subtract 2 times the product of those two lengths, so I have 2 times AC, times the cosine of the included angle, which in this case is b. Okay, and same thing for c. If I have c squared, I'm going to take the sum of the squares of the lengths of the other two sides, so that is a squared plus the b squared. I'm going to subtract 2 times the product of a and b and multiply it by the cosine of the included angle, which is c. Okay. So let's go and just try it out. An example, and it says compute the length of x. So if I'm looking at my sequence of my triangle, it looks like we have a side, angle, side. So again, it has to be consecutively, okay? Some people get confused and they're like, oh, okay, side, angle, or ASS, which would be law of sines. But we're looking from left to right, right? I have a side, angle, side. So this one is going to be SAS, and here we're dealing with a law of cosines. Okay, since I'm trying to find x, this is my starting point. I'm going to start with the x squared. I'm going to equal it to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. In this case is 7 and 8. So I have 7 squared plus 8 squared. I'm going to subtract 2 times the sum of the other two sides. In this case is 7 times 8. And then times the cosine of the included angle, which is across from what we're trying to find, which in this case is 120 degrees. So 120 degrees is my included angle. And then we get this fun little thing where I can go ahead and simplify this guy. I have x squared. I'm actually going to go ahead and transition to my calculator. I could do that mental math, but I am going to go ahead and use the calculator for this one because I can just plug it in. So I have 7 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 7 times 8 times the cosine of 120. And we get 169. Okay, we're trying to find x, so I do have to take the square root of both sides. I get x is equal to 13 centimeters. Now, it's not a negative value, right, because my side measurements cannot be negative, nor can my angle measurements. So this time we're only focusing on the positives, and this would be my solution. Okay. So that's it, guys. Let's try example 2. It says in triangle ABC, the sides are A is equal to 3 units, so little a across from big angle. A is 3, B is 5, and then C is 7. So this one right off the bat, I can go ahead and say this is SSS, so we're dealing with cosines. Okay. We have to find the missing angle measurement. So that means we have to find angle B, we have to find angle C, and we have to find angle A. Okay, I'm going to go and start with finding angle A. So I'll go and do this one in blue. We have to find the measurement of angle A. Now it's the same exact thing, but now my included angle of A is what we're trying to find. So we are going to have to go ahead and use the inverse functions in this one. Okay, so if I'm finding angle A, I have to use the opposite side of 3. So I'm going to start with 3 squared is equal to the sum of the squares of the other sides. So I have 5 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times the product of those two numbers times the cosine of A, which is what we're trying to find. Okay, so this is when I'm going to go ahead and use my mental math in order to evaluate this guy. So I got 3 squared is equal to 9, 5 squared is 25, plus 49 minus, right, 5 times 7 is 35, so twice that is 70 times the cosine of A. I can go ahead and combine these two right here. The negative 70 is attached to that cosine of A, so I can't combine that. I get 9 is equal to, what is that? 74 minus 70 cosine of A. I'm going to go and subtract 74 on both sides. So then I get to negative 65 is equal to a negative 70 cosine of A. Let's go and divide both sides by negative 70. So then I get cosine of A is equal to a 65 over 70. Okay, same exact thing. I'm trying to find angle measurement A. So I get angle A is equal to the inverse function of cosine. And I can go and plug this guy into my calculator and let's see what we get. So I'm going to go ahead and do second cosine. I'm going to create my fraction. I get 65 over 70. Oops. Let's go ahead and create this into a decimal. Oh no, what am I doing? There you go. All right. We should get angle A is to be 21, and let's say that we're rounding to the nearest hundredths place. So 2 places after your decimal. So we get 21.79 degrees. And this is your angle measurement of A. And this one was in blue. Okay. Same exact thing. I want to go ahead and find the angle measurement of B. So let's go and do that one. I'm going to say find angle B. So this time I'm going to have to set up another equation to find this one. Opposite of angle B is 5, so I'm going to start with 5 squared is equal to the 3 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 3 times 7 cosine of B. 5 squared is 25, 3 squared is 9, plus the 49, minus 3 times 7 is 21. 21 times 2 is 42, times the cosine of B. Same exact thing, I can go and combine 49 plus 9, so I get 25 is equal to, what is that, 58, minus 42, times the cosine of B. I'm going to go and subtract 58 from both sides. So I get negative 33 is equal to a negative 42 cosine of B. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 42. So I get cosine of B is equal to 33 over 42. Same exact thing where I'm going to go ahead and find angle B and use that inverse function of cosine. Let's go and plug this into our calculator. second cosine. And I get 33 over 42. Oops. And I don't know why it keeps making it into a fraction, but it gives me an angle measurement of 38.21 degrees. Okay, and what color was this? Yellow. Cool. So we found both angle A and angle B, right? We have to go and find angle C. Now you could go ahead and set up an equation again, or we could just take the easy way out, where I'm going to take the sum of these guys and subtract that by 180. So I have angle C. I'm going to go and plug in my calculator. 180 minus the sum of 38.21 plus 21.79. And we get an even number, cool, of 120 degrees. Nice. Now, so that we kind of get rid of any like errors with rounding, I would just go ahead and take 180 minus, and then I would literally copy and paste these guys so that you don't have to go ahead and worry with rounding. And you should get the same exact thing. Now this one turned out nice because it gave us that full number of 120. Sometimes we're not that lucky and we might get a decimal. So to ignore rounding errors, I would just go ahead and copy and paste those answers right into your calculator. Okay.